Alright, so File, Save As. You want to pick a location. So in my case, I'm saving it to my Fanshawe folder. It's important to change your type to be a macro-enabled workbook. Oh, I cannot spell. Next thing you want to do is go to the File tab, go Options at the bottom. You want to customize the ribbon, and you want to make sure the Developer tab is added. Okay, if it's not ticked off, click the little check mark, click the Expand button, make sure they're all turned on. Click OK. Under Developer, click the macro security button. Okay, we want to go to macro settings, which is good, and we want to enable all macros. Not recommended, but in this case we will accept it, and click OK. Okay, next we want to click the record macro button. Okay, what we want to do is give it a name. We'll call it HQ stamp. Okay, where do we want to store this macro? Is in this workbook only. Okay, and we'll type your name in the description. Click OK. Click Control Home. Type Cape Town. Actually, we'll make that two separate words. Okay. Click the Enter button. Click the Home tab. And we want to format cells. Okay. We want to go to the Font tab. We want to go bold. We want underline. There is no underline in this option. Oh, there it is. I couldn't find it. Bold, underline, I apologize. And we want to go color. We want blue standard. Just down here. Okay. Click OK. Now we want to go to the Format button. Click Format. And we want to go Autofit column width. And then go back to Developer and stop recording. Let's click on D1 and then save our workbook. Next, we want to clear the contents of A1. Okay. And go anywhere other than A1. So click somewhere in your workbook. Go to your Developer tab. Okay. Click your Macros button. Okay. You should see a list of any macros that are recorded, which right now should only have the HQ stamp. So make sure HQ stamp is clicked. Select Run. And then you should see Cape Town up here. Okay, next, let's go to File. Let's go to New, Blank Workbook. Click somewhere other than A1. Go to Developer. Click Macros. We want to click Macros in all open workbooks. Good. And it recognizes that there's one in the other workbook, the XLSM file, macro workbook. So it sees that there's an HQ stamp, which in this case, click Run. And again, you'll see that it actually ran in this book 2, the new file, the macro, and placed it still in cell A1. So now we can close book 2, and we will not save the changes in that file. Let's save our work so far. Okay, next thing we want to do is we want to look at how to edit a macro. So let's again click the macros button under the developer tab. Make sure HQ is stamped. Click the edit button, and you'll get a Visual Basic code, which is all the programming in the background that tells Excel what you want to do when you select that macro. It should be in module 1. Okay. And you notice here where it says size 11. Let's double click size 11. We'll type 12. So instead of going through the steps again to change the font size to 12, we can actually edit the code directly, find the steps in the macro that we want to edit, and modify them in the Visual Basic. Let's go File, close and return to Microsoft Excel. Okay, let's go to A1. Click the Home tab. We want to clear that, and we want to clear all. Okay, so it gets rid of all the formatting, etc. Click anywhere other than A1. Click the Developer tab. Click Macros. Select HQ Stamp, and click Run. If we click on the Home tab, you'll now see that this is a 12 font. Okay. Let's save our work. All right, next, let's go to cell B2. Let's go to Record Macro button on the status bar. So now that this is a macro workbook, down on the status bar, bottom left side, there'll be a button that stands for Record Macro when nothing's currently recording. So click the Record button. In this case, we want to type the word region. I'm going to call this macro region. Okay, the shortcut key, we want to press and hold Shift and the letter R. So for the shortcut key, we'll change to be Control Shift R. In the description, type your own name. Okay, click OK. Type the word Africa in cell B2. Click the Enter button. Okay. Press Ctrl-I to italicize, and then you'll see at the bottom there's a Stop button on the status bar. Hit Stop. Okay. Let's go anywhere but B2. Click on, say, A5. Hit Ctrl-Shift-R, and notice that it also puts Africa there. Now in this case, after we started recording the macro, we did not move our cursor from the active cell, which is why it did not move to B2 or wherever we were at. In this case, this second macro, we hit start recording, and wherever our active cell was, that's where it will place the contents of that macro functionality. Okay, next we're over to page 214 in the text if you're following along. We want to hit record macro again, so down near status bar, we'll hit record macro. Okay. We want to call this one format print. Okay. We want to go Shift F as our shortcut key, so it'll be Control Shift F. And we want to change the store macro list to be the personal macro workbook. So what this does, it'll save the macro in your personal profile so they can be linked to any other Excel file. Type your name in the description. When you're done that, click OK. Let's go to page layout. Click orientation. And we want to change it to landscape. Let's click margins. and we'll go down to custom, and we want to enter 1 in the top, left, right, and bottom. Click OK, and let's click stop on the macro. What we will do now is add a new worksheet. So click the plus symbol here. We now have a new worksheet. In cell A1, type macro test. Press enter. Let's hit Control, Shift, F. Okay. Let's preview the page. So go to File, Print, and you'll notice that it is landscape. Okay. Let's go down to last custom margin settings. You'll notice that it says 1, 1, 1, 1, all the 1-inch margins as the macro instructed it to be. Let's go back to the file. Let's save our workbook. All right, the last step we will do is to assign a macro to a button. So we will go add another worksheet to the workbook. Okay. Click Insert on your ribbon. What we want to do is click on Shapes. So click the Shapes drop down, and we want the first rectangle in the rectangles box. Okay. Let's go down to A8, into the top left corner of A8, and we'll drag it down to B9. Okay, so it should look something like that. Type HQ macro in order to label the button. Click on Home. Let's center that. Okay, and we want a middle alignment as well. Make it look nice and pretty. Now, right click on the new button, and you'll notice now there's an option to hit Assign Macro. And we want to assign the macro HQ stamp. So HQ stamp, click OK. Click anywhere outside the macro. Okay, so anywhere else in this file. Let's click the button. You'll notice when you hover over, now that you've assigned a macro, it changes to a little hand. Click, and it pulls it up, moves your active cell to cell A1, and performs the macro functionality, putting Cape Town there formatted the way you expected. Let's go to File, Print. You'll see, just to see what it looks like. Go back to the file, go to the Developer tab, click Macro Security, and we want to disable again with a notification option. So we want to turn them back off. This is important because you don't want to open a file that somebody emails you that might have a potential virus without you knowing where it's coming from. So you should always keep your macro security disabled and only turn it on when you're required. Okay, let's save this, and this is your in-class exercise to submit. Look at the checklist for the other files to try, and ask any questions you may have. A word of advice, sometimes I've had people ask, oh, why didn't it jump to cell A1 or B7 or wherever I was supposed to as per the macro instructions? It always is important to start recording the macro, then move your cell to where you want it to always go every time you run the macro. If you happen to select cell A1, then hit record, and then start typing, it won't recognize the fact that you want it to move to A1 every time you hit start. Okay. Good luck.